Pick Six, brought to you by Davidson's Liquors, where you can go in and you can
Are we doing
pick
another one?
six
Didn't
of
we
your
do it?
favorite
No.
handcrafted beers and make your own six-pack. So go to Davidson's Liquors.
Okay, should I start at the top or the bottom? Would you rather
Go,
start?
work your way up to number one.
Okay, number 6 would be Tim Tebow. I
Against
think
the Pittsburgh
that
Steelers.
Over time, that was sensational.
It really was.
That
I hated it, but it really was.
Elway had said that we pulled the trigger in the interview, and people couldn't believe that he could ever win a game. And they find Ike Taylor out of position on the first play, and it's an 80-yard touchdown pass, but it's actually like a 6-yard touchdown pass, and Demaryius Thomas goes the rest of the way with it. And Demaryius doesn't realize the game's over. And just that atmosphere of that, I thought that was great.
Can I just say one thing about that game? I have always said Dick LeBeau should go into the Broncos Ring of Fame because it might have been the worst defensive tactics I've ever seen against a really bad quarterback, Tim Tebow.
Yeah,
go ahead.
and your question was playoff games, so we're not talking about
Correct,
Super
playoff
Bowls.
games.
We'll save that for another time and the Super Bowl or whatever. But I really thought that the team that that how do I put this? The team in 1998, 97.
The team that lost to Jacksonville in the playoffs?
No. So it was the 97 team that played in 1998.
So the first team to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah. They went on the road after beating Jacksonville to revenge that. They went on the road to Kansas City and Pittsburgh.
Yes.
I would put both of those at 5 and 4. Now, why not put them higher? Well, I think I got some more. But to win in the playoff as a wild card, and that's happened. I mean, it's happened with other
all
teams.
road games.
But Shannon Sharp, they got to pick up a first down on 4th down against Kansas City. And Shannon Sharp, Elway tells Shannon Sharp to run a route and extend it a little bit. And he does. He goes 8 yards rather than normal 5, and they pick up the first down. And they win in Kansas City. They win in Pittsburgh. The Broncos were a great team, but they had to go on the road. And to win back-to-back games, I would put both of them on my list. So that makes 4, 5, and 6.
I think the game you're talking about, the Shannon Sharp play where they kind of drew it up,
Pittsburgh?
it was in Pittsburgh, yeah.
But the game in Kansas City was real close and down to the end. So those two games really do fall into that for me. The AFC Championship game against the Oakland Raiders.
I wasn't here for that one.
To beat John Madden, Kenny Stabler, Dave Casper, a great defense with those guys that Dr.
Ben Davidson.
And stuff. Yeah. I think to win that when you've never been in an AFC, when you've never been in a conference championship game, that was incredible.
All right, so that's number 3.
Number 2 is the Drive.
In Cleveland.
1986, they go on to win the Super Bowl, and the Drive ranks as number 1 in everybody's history.
No, they didn't go on to win the Super Bowl.
No, they go
went
on to the
play it.
Super Bowl.
Yeah, right.
Go on to the Super Bowl. Number 1, Denver Broncos, Pittsburgh Steelers, Christmas Eve, 1977. They had never been in a playoff game. Obviously, they'd never won a playoff game.
And the Steelers were in the midst of their dynasty. 4 Super Bowl wins in 6 years.
That was so totally incredible. I got to bring up one more thing about the Oakland game. Craig Morton was in the hospital all week, and that week led to the injury list by the NFL because Red Miller hit it all week. He'd say, "Oh, Craig looked good at practice today."
Really? He just out and out lied?
They closed all the practices. One the deal where you could even see the first 5 minutes. Craig Morton was in the hospital all week. He had a thigh bruise that became so black and so the blood inside. And on Sunday morning of the game, he said to Red, "Would you tie my shoes?" The coach of the Broncos got down and tied his shoes. And Red Miller said to the players, if he gets sacked, if you allow him to get sacked once in this game, he's going to be out of the game and we're going to lose the game. I wrote a book about the whole season, so I had a lot of inside information about that. He wasn't sacked once, and he wasn't a mobile quarterback.
No, not at
all.
all.
They beat the Raiders. Number 1 is Pittsburgh. And I'm going to sum this up with one thing. Terry Bradshaw told me after the game, because I told you and my editor earlier, I covered the game by myself. And so I was covering both locker rooms. I'm running back and forth. Terry Bradshaw said, one of the nicest things anybody's ever said to me, not about me, he said, Woody, you tell the people of Denver to enjoy this moment. It will never be like this again. It was the first playoff win. If the Broncos win on Sunday, as we suspect, people aren't going to be that thrilled because what they're concerned about is the Broncos winning the Super
Sure,
Bowl.
the expectations have been raised here.
Back then, to win with the history that the Broncos had of mediocrity, and not way beyond mediocrity, just insipid bad teams.
Having virtually no winning seasons. Yeah.
One prior to that.
Right.
And for them, I take that back. 7-5-2 one year and 9-5 another year. And that year they were 12-2 and lost to Dallas and Oakland. And they, Christmas Eve, bells around here were ringing. People were crying. There were people in the streets. There was not one moment of trouble in this town. There wouldn't have been a drive. There wouldn't have been Peyton Manning. There wouldn't have been the Tebow. I don't think. I think this team would have lived on in mediocrity for years and years and might not have ever escaped that and been like teams around the league that Buffalo Bills, the Cleveland Browns. You know, you go through all of that stuff. I think the Broncos, that moment led to everything that's happened afterward. So that's number one, ahead of the drive, ahead of all the other stuff.
No, wait. You didn't mention the Super Bowl win.
I said I wasn't talking about the Super Bowls. I'm talking about playoffs.
Okay. Got it.
Talking about
leading
playoffs.
up to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Got it.
That's I was making that clear.
Got it.
We'll talk about the Super Bowl
Well,
on another day.
Hopefully we'll have another great game to talk about on Sunday.
The people that were there will know what I was talking about. When Haven Moses started doing cartwheels down the field and acting like he was 8 years old again, I said that's the essence of what football should be.
Well, if the Broncos win on Sunday, Woody Paige will do cartwheels across the field on Sunday.